Welcome to Deep Dive Documentaries. The dark side of AI. Is AI really our future savior? Could be. Or is it a silent threat? Well, that depends on who's really in control. In this episode, we're going to go beyond the hype to find out who really controls artificial intelligence and why they want to keep it a secret. If you like fast-paced documentaries with a deep dive into the latest news and technology, then make sure to stay tuned for more updates. The term artificial intelligence was coined in 1956 at a conference at Dartmouth College. Since then, there have been 5 major waves of AI. In the 1950s, it was all about symbolic systems and expert systems. In the 1980s, it was machine learning. After the turn of the millennium, we saw the rise of deep learning, which has dominated until today. But we're already witnessing the rise of something new, generative AI, from text to image to video, and much more. What makes this different is that these models are not just tools, they're practically mini-brains with billions of neurons. And with their ability to solve problems that were previously thought to require human intelligence, they're becoming powerful allies. In fact, Elon Musk believes that they can help us solve some of humanity's most difficult challenges. From curing diseases to colonizing Mars, the potential applications of generative AI seem limitless. In May 2023, Google released Gemini 1.5, the latest version of their large language model, or LLM, compared to its predecessor. Gemini 1.5 has 3 times the speed and performance, but uses 90% less computing power and emits 30% fewer carbon dioxide emissions. It also has better reasoning skills and a better understanding of visual images. For example, it can figure out that the third picture is not a duck, even if it's been morphed into an unrecognizable shape. That's because Gemini isn't just spitting out answers based on patterns in the data. It's actually learning and improving over time. In other words, it's evolving. But the real question is, who's controlling this evolution? Well, unfortunately, the answer is not as clear-cut as you might think. Because while many people believe that artificial intelligence is being developed by tech companies and research institutions, the truth is that a small group of big tech companies is deeply involved in the development and control of this technology. Let me explain. Artificial intelligence requires massive amounts of data to function properly. And these big tech companies have more data than anyone else. They collect your personal information when you use their products and services. And this includes everything from your search history to your social media interactions. This data is then used to train artificial intelligence algorithms, allowing them to learn how humans think and behave. Now, there's nothing wrong with this in itself. After all, most people are willing to exchange their data for free services. But the problem arises when these companies use their control over artificial intelligence to manipulate or exploit their users. For example, let's say a social media company develops an algorithm that can predict which posts are likely to be popular. They could then use this algorithm to push these posts to the top of users' feeds, resulting in more engagement and more profits for the company. Or consider an e-commerce platform that uses artificial intelligence to recommend products to customers based on their browsing history. If the platform uses biased algorithms, it could result in customers being shown products that they don't need or don't want, leading to overconsumption and waste. Even worse, some companies are using artificial intelligence to collect even more data through subliminal messaging. That's when you see an ad for something you never even considered getting. But now you can't get it out of your head. Before you know it, you're buying things you don't need just because you saw an ad for them. And while this may seem like a harmless prank, it's actually a form of manipulation that takes advantage of the fact humans are not always aware of the decisions they're making. Not only that, but these big tech companies are also using artificial intelligence to develop products that could potentially harm society. For example, facial recognition technology is being developed to identify and track individuals in public spaces. While this technology may be useful for law enforcement in some cases, it also poses a serious risk to civil liberties. Imagine if this technology fell into the wrong hands and was used to track down and target dissidents or members of minority groups. That's a scary thought. It gets worse. Another example is autonomous weapons technology, which is being developed to make decisions about who to attack without human intervention. This technology could potentially lead to the development of killer robots that could cause untold damage and suffering. The worst part is that these companies are not accountable to anyone. They're not regulated by any government agency, and they don't have to disclose what they're doing. That's because artificial intelligence is still largely unregulated. So while there have been calls for regulation from experts and lawmakers, the big tech companies have so far resisted these efforts. Now, you may be thinking that this is just another case of big tech trying to keep tabs on us. But the reality is that the stakes are higher than ever before. As artificial intelligence becomes more advanced, it will have a greater impact on our lives. It could revolutionize the way we work, play, and interact with each other. And if these big tech companies are able to control that, it could mean that they have an unprecedented amount of power over us. So here's the question: what are we going to do about it? One of the biggest concerns about artificial intelligence is its potential to replace humans in the workplace. As AI becomes more advanced, it could take on tasks that were previously thought to be too complex or creative for machines. This could lead to job losses across a variety of industries and exacerbate existing economic inequality. We've already seen this happen with the rise of automation. Think about it. When ATMs were introduced, many bank tellers lost their jobs. As computers got better, so did the software that controlled factories. Many blue-collar workers were replaced by robots. Today, we're seeing the same thing happen again with artificial intelligence. For example, many companies are now using AI to automate customer service, leading to job losses in the field. However, there's a possible solution. Some experts believe that the best way to mitigate the negative effects of artificial intelligence is through regulation. By setting clear guidelines and standards for the development and use of AI, we can ensure that it is used responsibly and ethically. This could include things like requiring companies to disclose when they're using AI to make decisions that affect people, as well as giving people the right to opt out of having their data used to train AI algorithms. Others argue that we need to focus on education. By teaching people how artificial intelligence works and the potential risks and benefits, we can empower them to make informed decisions about how to use it in their lives. We can also teach people how to spot fake news and propaganda that may be generated by artificial intelligence, which is becoming increasingly important as AI gets better at producing convincing content. The key is to strike a balance between innovation and responsibility. We want to encourage the development of artificial intelligence, but we also want to make sure that it doesn't get out of hand. It's a tough balancing act, but it's one that we need to get right if we want to ensure a positive future for humanity. Now, let's look at some predictions about the future of artificial intelligence. According to a recent survey of AI experts, there is a growing concern that artificial general intelligence, or AGI, which is when a computer system can perform any intellectual task that a human can perform, could pose a serious risk to humanity. In fact, 53% of respondents believe that AGI could pose a significant risk to society. The reason for this concern is that AGI would have the ability to improve itself and could potentially grow beyond human control. This could lead to unintended consequences that we're not able to predict or prevent. For example, imagine an AGI that is tasked with solving climate change. It could come up with all sorts of ways to reduce greenhouse gas emissions, like developing new technologies or changing people's behavior. But in doing so, it could also cause massive job losses or disrupt entire industries. Without proper oversight, an AGI could end up causing more harm than good. That's why it's important that we take steps now to ensure that AGI is developed and used responsibly. By setting clear guidelines and standards, we can help ensure that AGI benefits humanity as a whole, rather than just a select few. Ultimately, the future of artificial intelligence will depend on the choices that we make today. Will we embrace this technology and use it to make the world a better place? Or will we let fear and uncertainty hold us back? The choice is ours to make. Is artificial intelligence a force for good or a dangerous threat? Let us know in the comments below. Don't forget to stay tuned for more updates. Thanks for watching.